Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are really excited and looking forward to learning from our special guest today from the Cradle to Cradle Certified Products Institute, Products Innovation Institute, Bergen Hubert. And Bergen, I do it the French way. You'll have to actually say it the way you like people to say it, but we're really excited to have you here and kicking off this series. And so before we get started, I want to let everybody know that this webinar is getting recorded. You will receive an email with a link to the recording in the next day or two. You can also request the deck if that's something that you like. Please put your questions into the questions panel. Anytime during the webinar, we will answer them in the background, or we'll have a Q&A session at the end. Any questions that don't get answered, we'd ask you to leave them on your way out. There is a short exit survey that we're hoping you'll take some time to leave your thoughts. And if you'd like either the Cradle to Cradle Institute or Sustainable Minds to follow up with you, we're happy to do that, and you're able to leave that information as well. So getting started today, I'm Terry Swack, and I'm the founder and CEO of Sustainable Minds. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Sustainable Minds. I think there's a lot of new people on the call today who may not be as familiar with us, so we'd like to do that introduction. And then we're going to take a little trip down memory lane back to 2015 and look at what kinds of questions, what was happening in the material ingredient disclosure space then, to really lay the foundation for how that space has evolved to today and what's happening today, which is why we're looking at the space again with this critical eye and bringing this educational series to you. And then also looking at the transparency catalog, which we launched in 2016 when there was enough traction in the product transparency space to create a catalog solely dedicated to manufacturers investing in product transparency. So Sustainable Minds actually is a software company. Our first tool that we brought to the market in 2009 is a streamlined LCA and eco-design tool that was developed for product development teams to use in early stage design to be able to evaluate the life cycle impacts of existing products in redesign, or the impacts of concepts that were in development, to be able to make better decisions from the start to actually design greener products the first time around rather than subsequent iterations. But it's a continuous improvement loop. And now when transparency became a thing, really in 2012, when LEED version 4 was first introduced, we've really seen a lot of ways that manufacturers have brought products to market, either by creating greener and healthier products from the start, using one or more of these material ingredient evaluation solutions that we're going to look at in this series, or benchmarking and improving their products based on what they've learned from these material ingredient disclosure programs. Over time, Sustainable Minds has brought to market new tools for assessment, services, cloud solutions. And so today we are the only end-to-end product transparency solutions provider in the market, really understanding and keeping an eye on what is the purpose of product transparency for manufacturers and for the design and construction industry. The purpose for manufacturers is to understand where in the life cycle of their products impacts are occurring, what ingredients they're using that may be contributing to risks and hazards to human health or to the built and natural environment, and to improve those products so that the design and construction industry can make better decisions about the materials and products that they're selecting and installing, so that everybody is collectively working in concert to improve the impacts, reduce the impacts of the built environment, again, on human health and the natural environment. So we've seen product transparency move from just a twinkle in the eye of the folks who wrote LEED version 4, who made product transparency really the cornerstone of that version. And now, 8 years later, 9 years later, 10 years later, if you count kind of the slow start that LEED version 4 had in the marketplace, transparency has really become a specification requirement. And that's because the industry has moved to building high performance buildings, and transparency is a criteria of high performance. Both environmental performance and material health are performance criteria. And again, the primary intent for doing LCA and material assessments is for manufacturers to gain those insights to how to make improvements. And at the beginning of transparency, the demand for transparency, manufacturers were creating disclosures, and industry folks were selecting and specifying products with those disclosures, so they could really kind of check the box to get the number of products that LEED was requesting into the projects. But today, with such broad adoption now of transparency and so many tools to be able to make better products and report on those products, actual performance is not only measurable, actual performance matters. And people are really making decisions now, not just checking the box for disclosures, but actually comparing performance and selecting brands and products that can credibly tell those performance stories, and for manufacturers to be able to tell what are they actually doing to improve the performance of their products. So back in 2015, when product transparency was new, we at Sustainable Minds, because we had grown out of the LCA space, started to take a hard look at the material ingredient space to really wrap our brains around, okay, how is this the same or different from LCA? And why are there a variety of programs, unlike just only an EPD is the only type of disclosure eligible to contribute to the environmental performance credits? Why are there 4 in this case? This was the very first version of LEED version 4. Why are there 4 programs identified to contribute to this credit? And I want to point out that when LEED was new, LEED version 4 was new and early, it was the Cradle to Cradle Certified program that was included in the credit because the material health certificate didn't exist yet. And Bergen's going to talk about that. So we had a bunch of questions as we started to look at this space. You know, why are there so many different ways to disclose? Why would different AEC professionals ask for different kinds of disclosures? And therefore, how many types of disclosure should a manufacturer do? And then what questions does each answer? Are they the same? Are they different? What does it help a manufacturer learn? How does it help with design? What does each type of disclosure tell a customer? And then we wondered, if this is a different type of assessment, again, from an LCA and an EPD, and a report is required, why would this information be provided someplace else and not part of the whole product transparency story about environmental performance and material health? And why wouldn't all of that information be included alongside all the other information that people use to make purchase decisions? Because we always wondered, like, why are EPDs separate and apart from all the product information that manufacturers have always had to provide for people to be able to make decisions about performance and all the other criteria that we use? And by the way, these slides are literally from the 2015 presentation deck. You can see the date on the slides, and you're probably sitting there thinking, she just made those. These are the same questions we have today. Well, yes, they're the same questions we have today, because people on this call know, and we'll fast forward to the future in a bit, there are even more material ingredient disclosure programs that have been identified by the green building rating systems that are eligible to contribute to those credits. So this was just, what was available at that time. And so we were looking at all of these different types of disclosures. They were all very technical, wasn't clear what they meant, wasn't always easy to determine what's in the product and why. Some allowed manufacturers to not disclose hazardous ingredients with no explanation. They're not comparable, there's no marketing info. And we just wondered how an architect, builder, contractor would use any of them to make a procurement decision. And then finally, really asking the manufacturers, what do you want to learn? And what do you want to do with the results? So we dug even deeper. Again, this was for ourselves, but we then turned it into this webinar content because we figured we may as well share it. So first we started to look at who are the different programs that were administering these certificates. So this table again shows who are the program providers, what is the report they're providing, is there a standard that was developed, yes or no, what's the name of the standard, and then what's the list screening and evaluation method or program each was using. Now at that time, these programs were in consideration for LEED version 4. So, and again, Bergen will talk about this, but there was a realization that because Cradle to Cradle Certified is not only a material health disclosure, in fact, it's so much more, it's really different. And from all the other things in this list, this was why they created the material health certificate, to be able to have something that was more apples to apples when compared to the other types of disclosures that were recognized for the credit. So these programs were in consideration for LEED v4 at the time. And so when we looked at all of them, we said, okay, what's really the big difference between all of these? And at the highest level, what we determined was that some are just straight up disclosure programs. There's no value placed on the results. It's just results. And some are rating systems. People like rating systems because when you're not an expert, it's helpful for experts to have conferred their opinion and share it with you and be able to explain why they formulated that opinion or how those things are being rated. But there are these two, at the highest level, there's disclosure programs and rating system programs. But they all follow the same steps, every single one of them. You create a content inventory, you screen it against a list. In only one program, is there a hazard assessment that then drives optimization? That will be today's Cradle to Cradle. Then a report is developed, and then verification is sometimes included, sometimes optional. So we broke it down even further, really technically understanding what's happening in each of those steps, in each of those programs. And again, comparing the disclosure programs with the rating systems. And then finally, trying to kind of wrap our brains around how does a manufacturer select a program that fits its needs? Because we were getting asked those questions by the manufacturers we were working with on LCAs and EPDs. And so here's what we were able to take away from this investigation. Were these really 4 attributes. First, transparency. How concerned is the manufacturer about disclosing about proprietary ingredients or hazards? Do they care about a brand, a branded eco label? Would that help create a credibly greener and healthier brand by associating their brand with that brand. Is third-party verification important? How important is it? Do you want it baked in, or is it something you want to add later? And then finally, you know, the variable that trumps everything else is price. They're all priced differently. They all have different business models. They have different validity periods. The manufacturer has to determine, you know, can I do this myself? Do I need a consultant to do it for me? Am I going to want verification? If yes, do I want to pay for that later? Do I just want that baked in? And then finally, how many products do I have that I want to create disclosures for? So we took all of this information and finally just looked at, you know, what questions are getting answered. What is it made of? Are there any hazardous ingredients? If yes, how bad are they? Are there any exposure concerns? Where do materials come from and where do they go at the end? And what is the company doing about improving the human health impacts? So not every program answers every question. So we created a new kind of technical report. We called it our Material Health Overview, that allows manufacturers to leverage their material evaluation investment to create credible, consistent marketing tools, where this particular reporting tool answers all of those questions that people want to know very quickly using any of the technical disclosure programs as the background report. So those of you who are familiar with LCAs and EPDs, an LCA is the background report for an EPD. In effect, we took that same model and said a material health overview is just like an EPD, and you can use any technical program as the background report to tell those stories. And so we created templates for each of those technical programs, created guidance for how to write them, created a way to display those results, and added this information to our EPD, which we call a transparency report. So now users can toggle between the results of the LCA and the results of the material ingredient disclosure. And the stories are made understandable in ways people can use the information to make decisions about the brand and the products. And so we had our very first material disclosure mini-series in September and October of 2015, where we shared this research, we shared the introduction of the material health overview, and had leaders from each of the technical programs come on and talk about what was happening in their programs, where things were going to go. And from there, the next year in 2016, we launched the Transparency Catalog and have always included the content from our technical partners in the Transparency Catalog, again, to shine the light on those manufacturers investing in transparency, to help people making decisions, make better decisions about the materials they select to improve the built environment. So now it's time to do it again. And here we go. Bergen, we're thrilled to have you as our first guest this year and invite you to take it away.
Great. Thank you to Terry and Sustainable Minds for having me today. Terry posed lots of great questions that I hope I can address in my presentation. Please ask any questions in the question box, and of course we'll follow up with you afterwards if we don't have time to get to all of them. Thank you all for joining during maybe your lunch break here on the East Coast, or maybe your morning coffee if you're out west. Terry mentioned my name is Bergen Hubert. I wish it was Bergen Hubert. It has been since Americanized a little too much. So my name is Bergen Hubert, and I am the lead for the built environment for North America and Australasia at the Cradle to Cradle Products Innovation Institute. I have dedicated my life and pretty short career to working to protect the welfare of humans and the environment, and I thankfully work for an organization that fundamentally strives for that as well. Specifically, the Institute, I work with building product manufacturers and their suppliers, members of the A&D community, and owners and developers to try to increase the number of C2C certified products and specifications, and more broadly, safe and circular materials in the built environment. I will briefly introduce the Institute and our certification program, and then I'm going to pass it back off to Terry to demo how you can actually find C2C certified products and materials in the transparency catalog for your next project. For those of you that are not familiar with the Institute, we are an independent global nonprofit founded in 2010 and are rooted in the cradle-to-cradle design philosophy. We have team members across the United States. I am in the Washington, D.C. area and across Europe with headquarters in both San Francisco and Amsterdam. Okay, let me just make sure I can click here. There we go. When the Cradle to Cradle Products Innovation Institute was founded a little over 10 years ago now, it was on the promise of a very bold vision, one where a world where safe materials and products are designed and manufactured to maximize the health and well-being for people and the planet. Of course, realizing this vision requires partnering with every member of the value chain to demonstrate what is possible if we can embrace innovation to rethink, redesign, and remake the products that we all depend on. To achieve this vision, it really requires a paradigm shift. Traditional linear or take, make, waste design approaches place a particular focus on considering and meeting the needs of the end user. If we are designed for a circular economy, we need to look much wider than this, considering not only the user, but the system within which the design will exist. This means understanding the impacts of our design on all stakeholders and building in feedback loops to help identify and address the unintended consequences of our design decisions. Circular or cradle-to-cradle design really challenges us to see everything as a resource for something else, whether that's in a biological or technical cycle, eliminating the concept of waste. So you might ask, why did we decide at the Institute to place a particular focus in our work on materials and products? I say, look around you in the room that you're currently in. How many building or consumer products are you currently being exposed to? Materials are ubiquitous. They are the fabric of our built environment and our existence, from building materials to interior design, that's furniture, flooring, paints, adhesives, everything around us. Through these materials, we can also come in contact with harmful chemicals, many of which may have never been assessed for their impacts on human health or the environment. Architects and designers are also becoming more familiar with new material solutions and options to use secondary materials and reusable products. This also requires understanding the life cycle costs involved and really the reliance on sometimes limited availability of existing materials. There is a need for a holistic approach to the way architects and designers evaluate products and finishes that are specified on a daily basis. We all want the materials used to create our projects to positively impact the human health, the climate, the environment, and society. We really want to take less and give more. We cannot achieve this goal alone, and it cannot happen overnight. It's really through the deliberate selection, design, and manufacture of materials and products, we actually have the ability to reduce human exposures to toxic chemicals, make communities healthier and more equitable, and of course, protect our world today and over time. How we can activate and implement this vision is through Cradle to Cradle Certified. There we go. So as Terry mentioned, we newly released last year our latest version, version 4 of the Cradle to Cradle Certified framework. And we believe it is the world's most ambitious and actionable standard for products made for tomorrow, ensuring that they are safe, circular, and responsibly made. Cradle to Cradle certification is an independently awarded third-party certification with transparency, rigor, and innovation at its core. So unlike other certifications, which tend to focus on a singular measure of sustainability, Cradle to Cradle assesses all aspects of product design and manufacturing and guides manufacturers and brands to innovate and optimize materials and products for a positive impact on people and the planet. This is done by material health, ensuring materials are safe for humans and the environment, product circularity, that's enabling a circular economy through product and process design, clean air and climate protection, that's generating clean energy and protecting the climate, water and soil stewardship, safeguarding air, water, and soil resources, and lastly, social fairness, that's embracing safe, fair, and equitable labor practices that advance human rights and strong communities. These 5 categories are underpinned by both qualitative and quantitative requirements that translate actually beyond the product into company and supply chain. I want to spend a little time reviewing the version 4 framework at a very high level, but before doing that, for all of you architects on the call today, I did want to point out our framework is well aligned with AIA's materials pledge and can be utilized as a means to really ensure that your pledge is being honored and that all impacts of the creation and use of products and materials are being considered. So Cradle to Cradle certification is not a pass-fail certification. Instead, it is structured to enable continuous improvement so that companies can certify where they are and then move to higher levels of achievement over time. Certification is effective for 2 years, and at a minimum, certification holders must demonstrate measurable improvement in one of the 5 categories at recertification. So what makes Cradle to Cradle Certified different from the other labels and tools that you may be familiar in the material transparency or health landscape? As mentioned, we are a comprehensive sustainability framework with optimization requirements covering all critical aspects of design and manufacturing, not just material health. Unlike other eco labels, we are a one standard third-party verified solution, and it's applicable across all product categories. Okay. So for those of you that are familiar with version 3.1, I just wanted to highlight kind of the key or big differences between the version 4 standard. Really, in summary, we created pretty much new frameworks for the product circularity and social fairness categories. We strengthened the requirements related to climate change, expanded our scope to actually include soil health, and then we aligned our restricted substances list with global leading regulations. Okay, so when you see our certification marks on products, it is important to know what that means, the set of criteria behind them, and really the assurance that they bring that a product is safe, circular, and responsibly made. So I wanted to briefly touch on the 5 categories of assessment under our program, specifically under the new version 4 of our standards, and some of you may be new to that. So starting with material health, it is the critical building block for creating safe and circular building materials and products. To help companies ensure the material health of their products, Cradle to Cradle Certified's material health methodology helps companies identify and actually begin the process of finding safer substitutions for chemicals of concern, moving products through a continuous improvement process until products at the highest level of certification contain no known toxins or even potentially toxic ingredients and are composed of completely green chemistry. So here are the requirements in this category at a very high level. In summary, they enable a company to really go beyond chemical regulations by complying and staying ahead of leading international regulations, truly understand the chemistry of their product, and that's done by fully defining the chemical composition of each material and then comprehensively assessing the toxicological properties of each substance in product context. And finally, to optimize the product and process chemistries without making regrettable substitution. Again, this is done by identifying and eliminating chemicals of concern while verifying the alternatives are compatible with human and environmental health. This actually also includes developing an actionable strategy to address toxic emissions in the supply chain. And I'll be sure to share this deck so you guys could absorb all of this later. Okay, so once a product has been assessed and optimized for compatibility with humans and the environment, we can actually now start to consider it and its materials capacity to be perpetually cycled through the best and highest channels of use and reuse. Again, the objective here is to eliminate the concept of waste through the design and manufacture of products with materials that continually retain and generate value from one life cycle to the next. The aim of the entire category is to maximize inputs from circular streams, design products with circularity in mind, and ensure that product cycling can actually be done through the development of the appropriate systems. Okay, so again, here are the requirements of this category at a high level. In summary, they will enable a company to maximize inputs from circular streams. That's done by showing success in incorporating materials from recycling streams or responsibly sourced renewable content, and increasing the demand for such materials and closing the loop before the product even leaves the factory gate. Design products with cycling in mind. That's identifying appropriate cycling pathways for products and materials, selecting materials with high cycling capacity and value, and of course, designing the product to make it compatible with its intended cycling pathways. And finally, ensuring product cycling through understanding the technical and systematic limitations for cycling the product and its materials, providing the necessary information to product users to enhance cycling potential. We've implemented something called circular, instructions and data reports where we can actually, you've heard of things of assembly instructions, but there aren't things called disassembly instructions. So that's a new initiative under our program. And then of course, developing and supporting the systems that will ensure cycling of the product after use, so the infrastructure needed to actually realize cycling. Okay, moving on. The aim of the clean air and climate protection category is to ensure product manufacturing results in a positive impact on the renewable energy supply and the balance of climate change and greenhouse gases. Again, with version 4, we created more rigorous requirements in the section to promote the urgent action needed to address climate change. So here you can see the requirements in this category at a high level. In summary, they really enable a company to understand the magnitude of the impacts that they have and create a baseline from which improvements can be made, and to demonstrate their commitment, enable accountability, and then provide useful data to all stakeholders. So companies are required to take action and contribute to achieving all of our shared goals of increased renewable energy supply, clean air, greenhouse gas emissions reduction, and a stable climate. This is done by making high quality electricity, fuel, and carbon offset purchasing choices, employing energy efficiency measures to reduce energy use and emissions, and at the highest levels of achievement, directly increasing the share of clean renewable electricity available on the grid for all to use, and actually positively impacting the balance of climate change and greenhouse gases. Okay, and moving on to water and soil stewardship. The aim of the water and soil stewardship category is to recognize water as a valuable resource by encouraging effective management and use strategies during final stage manufacturing, ensure watersheds are protected, and clean water is available. By using safe, healthy materials and water efficiency practices, manufacturers can actually reduce water impacts, ensure that the processed water leaving their facility is as clean or even cleaner than it was coming in, and of course, improve overall resource efficiency. Again, high-level requirements in this category, similar to the clean air and climate protection category. Companies really understand the magnitude of their impacts, create that baseline for improvement, demonstrate commitment, enable accountability, and then provide useful data to all stakeholders. These requirements enable companies to really optimize the chemistry of effluent and sludge, as they have high potential to impact both water and soil quality. Implement best practices and technology where most needed. That's at the manufacturing facilities themselves or even in the supply chain to conserve both water and soils. And finally, companies will provide employees with clean drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene. And this will actually carry over into the supply chain as well. through the social fairness category. Okay. Last but not least is the social fairness category. The intent for this category is to ensure that companies are committed to upholding human rights and applying fair and equitable business practices. This is done by developing an understanding of salient human rights risks, building international frameworks and standards for upholding human rights into company policy and management systems, and then actually moving to demonstrating that commitment and enabling accountability by being transparent and engaging with all stakeholders, and then positively impacting their employees' lives, the local community, and social impact and social aspects within the certified products value chain. Okay, and this updated framework is really based on management systems approach that is really meant to iterate and support continuous improvement of upholding human rights over time. This again moves companies from risk identification and mitigation to actually contributing to a fair and equitable society by implementing things like a positive social impact project and demonstrating its impact, collaborating to address a difficult social issue, and fostering a culture of social fairness in the workplace. With the social fairness foundation in place, companies can genuinely claim to produce products in a safe, circular, and responsible way. Okay, I know that was a lot. So in summary, Cradle to Cradle Certified presents an ambitious and actionable standard for designing and making products today that enable a healthy, equitable, and sustainable tomorrow by protecting environmental health and promoting human well-being, accelerating circular design and circular data reporting, managing carbon holistically through energy use, greenhouse gas emissions, embodied carbon impacts, driving social responsibility practices and equity, and enhancing collaboration, transparency, and accountability across the supply chain. Again, this aligns very well with the AIA's materials pledge and most likely with other initiatives, pledges, or goals you have set at your firms or for your projects. Okay. And as Terry mentioned, in addition to the rigorous full Cradle to Cradle certification I just outlined, we offer something that is called the Material Health Certificate, which demonstrates a product's achievement in just that material health category. Just like in the material health assessment during the full Cradle to Cradle certification, a material is inventoried, screened, assessed, and optimized for human and environmental health. It is not simply a transparency tool. As you can see here, the built environment is a very important sector for Cradle to Cradle Certified and has demonstrated leadership in Cradle to Cradle design adoption. Building materials, interior design, furniture, and office supply represent the largest percentage of Cradle to Cradle certified products. About 70% of certified products are considered in the built environment. We have almost 1,000 Cradle to Cradle certifications and material certificates across product sectors from over 500 companies across the globe. These certifications cover tens of thousands of individual product variations and SKUs. So how can you find Cradle to Cradle certified products? All of our certified products are listed on our products registry. The Institute also partners with building and design product databases and retailer platforms to increase visibility, specification, and of course use of Cradle to Cradle certified products across all industry sectors and markets. We share our registry data with many of these types of partners, including Sustainable Minds. We will continue to expand our API sharing, including with our Material Health Certificate and with the appropriate partners. We're also in the process of enhancing our own registry for better functionality and better visuals. Here. Looks like I've lost, Carrie, can you click me forward here? Oh, perfect. So just a couple more slides. Retailers, governments, and institutions look to C2C certified products to demonstrate sustainable product purchasing, including Amazon's Climate Pledge Friendly program, the Home Depot's Eco Options program, Walmart's Built for Better program, and the GSA's SF tool for high performance buildings, just to name a few. Okay, got through now. And as Terry mentioned, to support the demand for Cradle certified products, we partner with green building programs and rating schemes. Here is a summary view of our current recognition in WELL and LEED for both the version 4 material health certificate and the full certification, and by which level is required for each credit. Specifically in LEED version 4.1, Cradle certified products can be used by project teams as a means to beat both option 1, material ingredient reporting, and option 2, material ingredient optimization of the building product disclosure and optimization of material ingredients credit. This optimization recognition, again, is really due to our material health methodology of chemical inventory assessment and optimization. Just quickly, for existing buildings under the O&M standard, Cradle certified products can be used to meet option 1, ongoing consumables, and option 2, building materials of the purchasing credit. I did want to mention specifically with the finalization of LEED version 4.1, we are working to have updated recognition in the pilot credit for product circularity. We're currently only recognized under version 3.1. And then new recognition, hopefully within green cleaning and low emitting products. So more to come on that. And then just quickly with WELL version 2, we are used to meet 3 features within the materials concept. That's material transparency, materials optimization, and cleaning products and protocols. In addition, we are expanding our current recognition within LEED and WELL to include other aspects of material impacts. We are also currently working on formal recognition within the DGNB system in Germany and BREEAM this year. We also were recently last month recognized under the Responsible Products Framework of Green Star in Australia. Okay, so in closing, before I pass it off to Terry, Cradle Certified is an innovation and validation framework for really transforming sustainable commitment into action through fundamentally prioritizing action across critical aspects of sustainability, enacting roadmaps for change from product innovation to operations, transforming business models, systems, and collaboration throughout the value chain, verifying sustainability performance and measure progress, and then ultimately leading industry transformation towards a safe, circular, and equitable tomorrow. Okay, so thank you all for your attention. Again, happy to answer any questions that you may have about the certification at the close of the webinar. I will also provide my email address so you guys can reach out to me directly. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Terry to show you how to find C2C certified products and materials through the transparency catalog.
Thank you, Bergen. That was really fantastic. And I hope people are able to see that the Cradle to Cradle certified products, getting that certification is a huge investment by a manufacturer and a big commitment to really making truly measurable, higher performing products. Well, there are some questions that have come in, and we'll take those at the end. So let me just dive in and talk about bringing people back to the future, because we started out 7 years ago, and those webinars, as I mentioned, we did in 2015. We didn't launch the transparency catalog till 2016. And when we did, there were only 350 manufacturers anywhere in the world who had invested in either EPDs or one of those 4 types of material ingredient disclosures that would contribute to the transparency credits that LEED had put together. So fast forward today in the catalog, we have over 1,770 brands and industry associations who have invested in one or both types of transparency disclosures. And we really made a bet creating the transparency catalog to shine the light on those manufacturers spending the time, the money, taking the risk to be transparent. And so we knew that the only way that most of the time that manufacturers' products get into a project is if they get into the specification. And so we knew from the beginning that the transparency catalog would need to be a specification tool. So with our early partnership with Master Format and CSI, the transparency catalog is a specification, a selection specification tool for high performance products. And because we've always wanted to make them easy to find the brands and the products, the transparency catalog is super, super simple to use, although now it has an enormous amount of content in it. And now there are a lot more green building rating systems that offer credits for material transparency. So I'm going to show you in the catalog, we have this page, that's the URL, transparencycatalog.com, rating systems, where we map the green building rating system credits to the disclosures that are eligible to contribute to each credit. And based on that very careful tracking of green building rating systems and disclosure programs, that's how we build the filters in the transparency catalog, so that when you filter either on a disclosure type or a rating system credit, you're only going to get results, brands and products where the disclosures they have are eligible to contribute to that credit option. This is a close-up on the Cradle to Cradle certified and material health certificate portion of that page. And I'll show you how to get there, where we keep up to date with our partners of what changes in their disclosures are mapping to those rating system credits, and we keep up to date again with the green building rating systems to make sure that we've got everything well aligned. I'll show you in the demo how you can go into any master format section and find products by green building rating system credit or by disclosure type, or both, in any master format section, or even without using master format filtering. It's really going to be as flexible as you need it to be based on the task that you have at hand. But our whole focus is really making it possible to filter to find the brands and the products that you're looking for to meet the requirements that you're looking for in the fewest amount of clicks, because that just really drives people crazy. So today we have, actually, I didn't change the number. It's over 1,700 manufacturers across 27 master format divisions and over 1,250 sections representing tens of thousands of products. So really our focus is on continuing to do more useful integration of partner data and build tools that make it easier for you to find those brands and the products the way that you want to work, and to do that quickly. So here we are at the transparency catalog. Here's the front page. If you look in the navigation, it says product transparency credits. This is that rating systems page. It literally says mapping disclosures to green building rating systems. So here are the green building programs that offer credits for environmental performance. If you click on any of these links, it'll take you to the actual credit language in each of those technical programs. So you can reference that. Here's the material ingredient. And a little bit of an upgrade since that screen I showed you from 2015. There's lots of different technical programs now that have been identified. And so to that end, this page takes all of the green building rating systems, again, identified by any of the material ingredient disclosure programs identified by any of the green building rating systems. And you can see here's a description of the program, a link to the organization administering the program, and the correlation of all of their versions and variations of those versions to the credits. And you're going to see we've created pretty comprehensive tooltips built into the catalog so that this information of what the results mean, what's the scope, what do the results mean, are always going to be at your fingertips, so that you can see the type of disclosure a manufacturer has achieved and then get reminded of, okay, what is this program? What do the results mean? And we always link back again to the source, to the technical program, so people can find out more. All right, so using the transparency catalog, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can get into it. You can actually, if you scroll down, we like to have on the front page every single brand that's in the catalog so that you can see literally the number of manufacturers over time who have invested in transparency. But because there are so many, you're probably going to want to use this power search and filter bar, which is going to allow you to, again, access products thinking about the task that you have at hand. So let's say you're part of a project team and you're doing early stage research on materials, and so you're working on Division 7 materials, for example. You can say, okay, I want to work on Division 7. I can even pick a section that I want to work on right now. Or you can say, look, I just want to see what's in Division 7. I'm working on a lead project, so I'm going to start by looking at everything in Division 7 that's going to help me contribute to the lead project that I'm working on. So here I am in Division 7. Division 7, Division 9 are by far the largest divisions. Division 9 is actually twice this size. And that's because there's a lot of manufacturers, a lot of sections, and those two divisions do include the products that people most come in contact with. So in Division 7, there's 335 brands, over 2,000 products. And now a user can start filtering, again, any way that they like. So they can say, listen, I'm working on, thermal protection. So let me look at just the brands that have products in 0720s. That brings it down to 115 brands, 531 products. And at this point, the user might say, actually, I'm working on, again, this lead project. So show me all of the products that will contribute to option 1. 60 brands, 344 products. And at this point, the user might say, I really like Cradle to Cradle. So let me see how many of those manufacturers who have products that will contribute to that credit have Cradle to Cradle. Well, it's one brand. In 0720, one brand, 15 products. Owens Corning not only has Cradle to Cradle, they've got Declare labels, and they have some living products. And so you can see Owens Corning is one of those companies that has invested in a variety of disclosures, again, based on what the market has asked them for. And if you wanted to learn more about Owens Corning, or you wanted to see more of Owens Corning products, any of the manufacturers that show up in the results, you can click the brand, you're going to come to their listing, where you're going to be able to find every product they have in every master format section. And if you want to learn more about the product, you're going to click that link, the product name, and it's going to take you to the product page on the manufacturer's website. So we don't believe in manufacturers having to manage a lot of content about their products someplace that isn't their website, which should be the single source of truth. And so we work closely with the manufacturers to identify all the master format sections their products can get selected in, as well as making sure that the content is sending, the links send the users to the right place. But once you're inside the filtering and searching paradigm, you never have to go back out to the front page. You can just stay here. And as I said earlier, you can use these filters in any order that you want. So our data team, we have an API from Cradle to Cradle, from the HPDC, from Declare. And so we're continually updating disclosures as they're published. and we add them to the catalog organized by master format. But if you only just wanted to see all the cradle to cradle certified products in all master format divisions, you don't need to select a master format division. You can just click Cradle to Cradle Certified, and you'll see there's 238 brands and 592 products. They're going to be organized initially alphabetically, but then you can just say, well, let me see all of those brands that have Cradle to Cradle products, and you can start saying, okay, I like these guys, I like these guys, I like these guys. Whoever you like, and you'll be able to click those, and then again, just get those in the results. We're coming to the top of the time, and I do want to get to some of the questions that have been posed. So I'm going to pause on the demo. When you exit, I invite you to, if you'd like to learn more about how to use the catalog, or manufacturer would like to learn more about the benefits of the annual subscription, what comes with that, in addition to this presence in the catalog, please leave your name and contact. Well, you don't need to leave your name and contact info. We have that. You just need to say yes, contact me. The same, you'll be able to say yes, have Cradle to Cradle contact me, so you don't need to email Bergen directly. But Bergen, do you see any of the questions you'd like to answer?
Yeah, there was just a couple administrative that I feel like maybe I didn't address in my presentation, just around you know, the scoring component of this. So sure. Yes, each category is given that bronze, silver, gold, or platinum designation, and then the lowest achievement in any of those categories then becomes the full product score. So someone asked, for example, you know, if you see a gold level certified product, yes, that means that all of the categories received gold or platinum. So again, there's that reassurance there, the full product, lowest score, and then there's a scorecard, which we should be evolving with our version 4 to have some really critical KPIs behind that. So someone asked, you know, is there a separate standalone certificate for the other attributes? No, we just have the material health certificate, and Terry did a nice job of giving the history of why we did that for that kind of material health transparency landscape. But the other categories are embedded in that final certification. But again, we hope to report out some of those big, you know, critical KPIs from each of those categories on the scorecard moving forward. So I think that's, you know, all we kind of really had time for from the C2C side, but I'd be happy to follow up. I see some questions here that I'm going to be following up with individually.
Okay, well, I'd love to have you back again soon,
please,
Bergen, particularly when you have more news to share about what's happening at the Institute. And I want to welcome everyone back for the next sessions in our mini series around material ingredient disclosure. So watch for information coming shortly about the HPDC webinar, and in June, the webinar with ILFI to talk about Declare and living products. At the end of this series, we will be publishing a short white paper to essentially update the research that we did in 2015 to provide a similar survey of the marketplace. And anyone who has attended one or more of these webinars will also be alerted to that paper being available, and we'll either send that right out to you, or you'll be able to request it. But thanks for coming, and hope you learned a thing or two today, and we wish you a great day. Thanks, Bergen.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks all for joining. Take care.
Bye-bye.